Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope everybody is having an outstanding weekend so far. In this class, everybody, we are looking at IELTS Speaking Part 2, a cue card focusing on talking about a crowded place. This, again, was a topic similar to a cue card that appeared on exams in the last few months. Welcome, Anna. Hi, Fuang. Nice to see members in the class. Everybody, this is a members chat class. You are all welcome to watch. The class is powered by our website, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. These are the websites that have all of our materials that we use in these live classes. This is aehelp.com here. You can join our premium IELTS package by clicking the big red button just right above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. When you click that button, you can use this code from today's class. It's single9 for a 10% discount, and that code is coming from our most recent YouTube video release, which explains the one skill retake, which means that since December last month, you do not have to resit the whole IELTS exam if you don't pass one section. You can just resit one section of the test. However, there are some constraints and it's not available in every test center. So check out this video and that will give you all of the information for this one skill retake. Students, after this class on the website that I just showed you, we will have a speaking part 3 class in about 2 hours. And for that class, all you will have to do is go to the website, go to your My Student account, and then in your My Student account you see lots of tools, and you will be able to click on this join live class there. That's in 2 hours. Okay, not yet. In 2 hours, and that will be a speaking part 3. That speaking part 3 will continue from this cue card. The part 2 cue card and the part 3 speaking are connected. They're related to each other. So the topic of today's speaking part 2 cue card will be describe a crowded place that you have been to. Okay, so crowded place means a place with lots and lots of people. All right, and again, this is a cue card that is very, very similar to a cue card which appeared on IELTS exams in the last few months. So these are topics that you see and that you have to be able to respond to in your IELTS exam. Hi Juan, hi Romelia, nice to see more of our members joining in. That's great. Okay, so again, everybody just remember, if you're a premium member of our website, which I just showed you, where we will have the live class for part 3. For the premium members, we also have a Zoom class. So we try to do every possible ability that we have in our power to give you great classes, great content, and different people in different countries have different systems. So for premium members, we also offer this Zoom class. That Zoom class will be tomorrow at 15 o'clock Universal Standard Time. And I did send the Zoom link for that class. So if you did not get that link, make sure to send me an email and then I will personally send you the link for that Zoom class, as long as you are a premium member of the website. Okay. All right, students, there are also apps there for you. Academic IELTS help, general IELTS help, you can access the premium membership through the apps as well as through YouTube and Shopify. So lots of ways to purchase. Hopefully one of those ways will work for you. Okay. Yeah, Romalia, if you went to Stonehenge and it was crowded, there were lots of people, it could be a good topic. Big Ben, definitely. Certain parts of London, I would imagine some of the major metro stations or underground stations in London would also be some fairly crowded places. So it's good that you're starting to think about some ideas, and everybody else, you should be doing the same. So Huang, every time I call you, it sounds like you're in a crowded place. So might not be all that tricky for you. Juan, Redexar, think about crowded places that you have been to. All right, everybody. If you're into video editing, we are looking for video editors. You can send your CVs to my email, or if you have IELTS questions, comments, questions about English, our products, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. All right, we've got a full lineup of classes, IELTS classes for you, everybody. Right now it's Speaking Part 2, again, followed by Speaking Part 3 on the website. Then tomorrow for website premium members, a Zoom class. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no class. And then Thursday back here on YouTube with Speaking Part 1 for everybody. All right. Students, let's get into this Speaking Part 2 cue card. Let's jump right in. Speaking Part 2 is extremely important for your speaking section score. A lot of your score is decided directly and indirectly in Speaking Part 2. So your score directly meaning what the examiner is looking for. So in the speaking, of course, the examiner is looking for your fluency, coherence, grammatical range accuracy, lexical resource, pronunciation, and they're looking to see if you're speaking naturally. Are you able to use complex English? And much of that can be assessed when you're giving that 1 to 2 minute response for Speaking Part 2. So your direct score from Part 2, for example, your fluency, right? Because it's the most fluent part of the exam. You will not be able to speak for 1 to 2 minutes for any other question or parts of the exam. So the most fluent part of the test. Okay? And it's not just English, right? In any language, to talk about a surprise topic for 1 to 2 minutes can be challenging. So it's not just your language, like your English fluency, but your communication fluency as well. It's also the most coherent, right? Because talking 1 to 2 minutes, it's really easy to go off topic or not make sense. So it also tests the coherence at the highest level. Okay, your score indirectly, okay, is because Part 2 is connected to Part 3. So the long part, the cue card, Part 2, in my 20 years of experience with IELTS, is arguably the biggest deciding factor of your IELTS overall speaking score. It's kind of, there's a reason I think that candidates are a little bit fearful of Part 2. They know it's kind of the trickiest part of the test. But don't be scared. Strategy, okay? The key is strategy, correct strategy. Correct strategy and information. And there's a lot of tips and tricks and strategies on the internet. It's really, really important that you decide on a strategy that works for you, that you're comfortable with, that you can use in the time limit. If that's the strategy I'm teaching you, great. The strategies I teach you come from psychology. That's my degree, that's my major. They come from communication, so it's called interpersonal communication. And these aren't just strategies that are useful for IELTS or English. They're useful in everyday life. They're useful for business, professional, academic settings. There are some basics, some standards to how we can effectively communicate, interpret information, and convey that information. So let's go through that, everybody. A lot of you know the steps. We'll go nice and smooth. And members, I will need your help here to do this. So we have IELTS Speaking Part 2. Now, again, for those of you taking the IELTS, do know that Part 2 mostly focuses on one of 5 different kinds of topics, either people, places, objects, ideas, or events. Okay? And sometimes it's a combination. A combination of 2, usually never more than that. So here, it's describe a crowded place you have been to. So here, what is this? Anna says this is a place. I agree with you, Anna. This is a place. And when we talk about a place, what should we include? Romelia says, don't be scared, be prepared, my mantra. Yes, Romelia, that is a good mantra to have. Being prepared is definitely a good way to avoid fear. Okay, so Redextra says it's location. Okay. Fuang says we might talk a little bit about its history. Sure. Its attendees. Yeah, who shows up there? Here it's going to be lots and lots of people. Activities. Okay. Yep. And your experience, right? And very good, Anna. Anna says, let's describe its appearance. So what does this place look like? And when you're talking about a crowded place, that might make a lot of sense for sure. So primarily, mostly, this is a place. I agree with you. Is it any other one of these 5? So if you're talking about a crowded place, it's people, places, objects, ideas, events. Okay. So could it be any one of the others as well, a little combination of it? I think it depends on your choice of what you choose to answer, but I do believe it could be. All right. I think it could also slightly be, in my opinion, depending on your answer, like if you talk about a concert, for example, that you went to, or a New Year's party, right? Okay. It could also be an event. Yes, that's right, Fuang. So I would definitely include the aspect of time here. Okay, time, so places and events have a lot of similarities, and a lot of these details are similar for both. The one aspect that you want to pay attention to if it's an event is the time of the event. Okay? All right, so first steps first, when you get the cue card, so after speaking part 1, as many of you know, the examiner will say that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For part 2, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these questions, think about your answers. Then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Describe a crowded place you have been to. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. And then as soon as that happens, you read the card carefully, and it may be a good idea to read it twice. You have to answer the questions, and you have to stay on topic. It's bad advice when people say, oh, the questions are just a guide. There's a couple reasons that's a bad idea to just think like that. One, if you go off topic, the examiner will stop you. Two, part 3 is connected to part 2. So if you go off topic, or if you're not paying careful attention to these questions, that's going to hurt your ability to perform well in part 3 as well. So you really should pay attention to these questions, and you should answer all the questions on the cue card while you are thinking about these points: location, time, appearance history, attendees, activities, and so forth. Ghazi, thank you so much for that super chat donation. That is really awesome of you to be so mindful, and it's great that you're in the class with us. All right. I appreciate that. I do appreciate super chat donations, everybody. It's a vindication that you appreciate the teaching that I'm giving you. All right. So here, once you've read the cue card twice, let's read it. When you went there, so that is obviously the time element, right? Where the place is or was, this is the location, right? So, and this is again where we can see that it could be an event, right? Because events like a circus, for example, a traveling circus, could get a lot of people or a large crowd, but not be there all the time, right? So where the place is, who you went there with, and explain how you felt about the place. Now again, like I say, I'm not making up this cue card. This is a cue card with these questions that's very, very similar to one that appeared on the IELTS test in the last few months. So who you went there with is, of course, the attendees and the experience. Okay. Now, there's one important piece missing from the questions that you see here. Okay, and that's the activities. So this is why it's so important that you know these elements like location, time, appearance, history, because the appearance, the activities, you don't really see it in the questions here, but it's certainly a good idea to include those to make sense of this location. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next step. Okay, so the next step is identifying that it's a place, okay, a crowded place in this case that you have been to. It's thinking about all of these elements like location, time, appearance, history. And what's the grammar? You also want to identify grammar in step 2. So step 1 is read the cue card carefully and prepare to answer all of the questions. This is not just a guide. There is definitely some terrible advice out there on the internet that people give for students, like, oh, part 2 is just a guide, it's there to guide you, you can kind of just talk about the topic in whatever way you want. No, not a good idea. Okay, pay careful attention to the questions and definitely work hard to answer them. Okay, when you get stuck, when you're not sure what to say, look at the cue card and check the questions. Okay, step 2, as I said, identify the topic. And then also the grammar. The key grammar to use. In this case, the grammar, yeah, Anna says from the first sentence, we can see that the grammar is present perfect. I agree. Why, Anna? Why, Fuang? So present perfect. Romelia says past. Yep, I agree. It's describe a crowded place you have been to. When you went there, that's past, right? where the place is or was, present or past, right? Who you went there with, and explain how you felt about the place. Okay? Again, it's present perfect and past. And here, describe a crowded place. Pay special attention to this for the grammar. Describe a crowded place you have been to. So, have been to, right? Present perfect. Okay? Makes sense? So obviously you're going to need to use present perfect. If you're not using present perfect in your response, the examiner is going to decrease your score for grammatical accuracy and range, because definitely you should be using that. Why? Yeah, Fuang, very good. Because it's emphasizing the experience here, right? In this case, the present perfect is used to emphasize the experience of this crowded place. All right, now comes the extremely important step 3. What is that step 3, everybody? So now comes this very, very important step 3. So step 1, again, while you're telling me step 3, step 1, read the cue card carefully. Maybe a good idea to read it twice so you know that you're on topic. Okay, especially the heading, which is talk about a crowded place you have been to. Step 2, identify the topic and the details that you need to add, the grammar of the question. And then step 3, no Fuang. I don't know why, even though I keep telling everybody how important this is, it seems like it's really hard to remember this step 3. Fuang, that's step 5. Okay, think about it as a 5-step process, everybody. 1, read the question carefully. 2, pay attention to the topic and the grammar. 3, generate ideas. Okay, it's always generate 2 to 3 ideas. It's so important, especially with questions like this, because your first thought might not work. It might be really difficult. Okay, so how many crowded places have we been to? I'm sure a lot of us have been to multiple places that are crowded, and in this case, this is a very good example of where I think some answers here are going to be much better than others. They're going to be much easier to talk about, much more content, and some of them are going to be much more challenging. So in your head, you have to kind of think like, okay, if I have to talk about this crowded place, how well can I do it? I might want to talk about a different crowded place just to make sure I don't get myself into trouble. I see that happen all the time with IELTS candidates in part 2, where they think they have a good idea. Okay, test your idea in your head. Okay, lots of candidates think they have a good idea and realize all too late that they picked an idea which is very tricky to talk about, or has little information. Okay. So what I mean by test your idea in your head, you're like, well, what does that what does that mean, Adrian? How do I test my idea in my head? In that 1 minute preparation time in your head, let's say you think about a concert. Okay, you're like, okay, I went to a rock and roll concert. Okay, 2 years ago, I went to a rock and roll concert with my friends. This was held at Thunderbird Stadium in Vancouver. There were about 40,000 fans present in the audience, okay, I think I can talk about this. Good, I'll go with this one, right? But if you're like, I went to, how do I say that word? Okay, I'm going to go with something else. I was at a very busy train station last month, okay? So think about a couple of ideas. This step 3 is extremely important, okay? Don't put yourself in a tough spot. All right, so let's do that. Let's generate some ideas. Tell me about some crowded places that you have been to. I'm curious. I'm sure many of you have been to some crowded places. Anahita says Toronto Mall. Okay, good. And be specific, right? Don't just say shopping mall, but say what it is. So Anna, you're saying live concert, okay? You don't need to say live, because if you have been to a concert, I'm assuming that it's a live concert. Instead, Anna, give me the name of the concert. So what kind of was it a Rolling Stones concert, right? So what kind of a concert was it? Okay, Phuong says National Vietnam Pagoda. Okay. Nguyen Hue Street. Okay, sure. There are some extremely busy streets in some cities. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Romelia says Juliet's Balcony in Verona. Yes, I saw that in a movie once. That place. Juliet's Balcony in Verona. Sure. One place that I was in Italy, Romelia, that was super crowded was Dodge. I think it's like that. Dodge Castle or St. Mark's Square. Let's do that instead. St. Mark's Square in Venice is extremely crowded. Anahita, if you're going to say airplane, that's okay. Just be specific, right? So, for instance, flight from Toronto to London. Okay. Agazi says public library in St. John's. I'm not sure if that's going to, I mean, if there's some kind of a special event that's going on. Hathu says career counseling event at my school. Okay, again, you want to test some of these, right? So now let's take some notes. Okay, that's your next step. Step 4, useful notes. Okay, now useful notes, when you're doing these, they should be words, vocabulary, that help to give detail. Okay, so if you're going to write about, or sorry, if you're going to talk about, for instance, St. Mark's Square in Venice, Italy, then don't write down words like St. Mark's Square, Venice, Italy. Okay, so I'm not going to write this down. Okay. Why would I not write that down? Okay. So do not write down ideas that you will obviously say. That's just silly. Okay. There's actually a danger to doing that. Do you know what that is? Anybody? So if I write down words or ideas that are obvious that clearly I don't need my notes for, that's a problem. It creates a problem in part 2 when you write down words, obvious words, on your note paper. Juan says you're wasting time. Yep. There's also another reason. So you're wasting time. What else? What do you think? What other issue may that lead to when you're just writing down obvious words that you're going to say anyway for part 2? What do you think? I want you to think. You know, students, I'm always really pushing you to be critical thinkers in these classes. So my goal isn't to just help you with English and IELTS, but within this, I'm always pushing you to be better thinkers, more critical thinkers. Anahita says we forget to write important aspects. Yes. Okay, so you're again, it's kind of like wasting time. Okay, Fong says the examiner will compare us with other candidates. Not necessarily. Okay. Romelia is saying I would write down words like cultural significance, Shakespeare's iconic play. Yes, and also the world famous scene from the play Romeo and Juliet, right? So there's a lot going on there, Romelia. Also maybe the descriptions like small area, court, cobblestone. Okay, those would be good words, Romelia. I'll tell you what it is though. Okay, everybody, are you listening? Listen up. Listen up. This is a big reason why it's a bad idea to write this down. It will intrinsically lead the candidate to ignore their notes. Okay? So when you're like, what does that mean? I'll try to think of a simpler way to say that, but I guess I could just say you will ignore your note paper. That's the simple way to say it. You will ignore your note paper instinctually. So you won't even think about it. You won't be like, oh, I need to ignore my note paper. You'll just ignore it. Okay, I see it all the time. I see it all the time. I'm listening to the candidate. I say, okay, you have 1 minute to read the questions, think about your answers. There's your note paper. You can take notes if you wish. And then literally what happens so often is that the candidate writes notes. They're really thinking. They're writing down some very obvious points like the name of the place, the time that they went there. And then I say, okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. They look up from their note paper. They start talking. They get stuck. They sometimes get unstuck. And they don't look at their note paper even once, whether they're stuck or unstuck. They're not looking at their note paper. They're not looking at the questions. Why? Well, because in the back of their heads, they're thinking, I've already said all the information on my note paper. Right? So in your brain, you're going, oh, I'm saying all the information on my note paper, so why do I even want to look at it? Right? Okay, so that's what happens. And then what's the point, right? So your note paper is there to guide you, okay? That's why it's there. Does that make sense, everybody? And it says, I will write down my first sentence and the time plus location first. Yeah, so writing down your first sentence is actually good practice. I suggest that, Anna, and that will be step 5, right? So on the note paper, write down the important information. So I'm going to go with St. Mark's Square. So instead of writing down useless information, right? I'm going to write down words and content that will help me to give details, like cobblestone square, shops, and landmarks. Okay. 100 by 200 meters, roughly. Okay. Bell tower, castle, church, vendors. Okay. Businesses. Right? Canals. All right, so those descriptive words of what I find in St. Mark's Square. Okay, basilica. All right, so I write down words that help me to give details. So this is the appearance. Pre-COVID. Okay, time. Attendees. I'm not going to write down tourists. Obviously, I'm going to think about the word tourists. There are lots of tourists there. So I'm going to write down this. Cruise ship passengers. Okay. 10,000 people. Right? Again, words that help me to give details. All right. So that's what I'm going to write down, and as much as I can. Now, another aspect that could help in the notes, okay, which could help you to give more details, and I haven't talked about this much. You can actually combine this with the appearance, the history, the attendees, the activities. So here, one other aspect that you can think about is vocabulary. Okay, and you can practice this at home, writing down vocabulary. Now here, the topic is a crowded place, right? Okay. When you think about a crowded place, what are some other ways to express that a place is really crowded? Okay, Anahita and Fong and Gazi are on track here with me. So what kind of words or descriptions or phrases have you heard, have you used that indicate that a place is crowded? Gazi says, how about congested? Yep, congested is good. Fong says, hustle and bustle. Sure. Countless people. Okay. Crammed with tourists. Yes, crammed. Crammed space. Okay. Just throw it out there. Word association, everybody. As many words that come to mind. You can't make a mistake. Just keep throwing words out at me. Okay. Juan Pablo says noisy. Yes. And a countless people means that there's so many people it's hard to count. And it's a collocation that means lots of people. Okay. Gazi says full. Full of. Sure. What else? Any expressions that come to mind? Any idioms that come to mind? Romelia, often you're quite good with these idioms or expressions. I've got a few in my head. Let's see if you can find some of those expressions that are in my head. Abundance, sure. Abundance means a lot. Very nice, Fong. Fong says, how about a sea of people? That's a good one. I wasn't thinking about that one, but that works. Yes. Packed is a good verb to know here. Okay. Ha says boisterous. I don't know about that one, Romelia. Okay, how about shoulder to shoulder? Has anybody ever heard that expression? When the place is so crowded that people are shoulder to shoulder, it means we're basically touching each other's shoulders. Anybody heard that? Shoulder to shoulder? Okay, how about like a can of... Anybody know the missing verb for this expression here? So there's a couple of fun vocabulary, meaning very crowded. Okay, and for those of you who are joining in right now, again, while you're thinking about that word, the topic here is describe a crowded place you have been to. And we're going to work on this. Very good, Romelia. Yes, it is. It's sardines. Ghazi says it's sardines. Yes, it is. Yes, like a can of sardines. Exactly. All right. Using that kind of language will definitely help. Yeah, Juan says packed like sardines. Exactly. Anaita says, what's a sardine? Sardines are those little fish, okay? You know those cans where you basically have the sardine fish and they're literally just fill the whole can, right? So packed like a can of sardines. All right, now as you get going, of course, you want to have your first sentence ready, and this is step 5, and it's a very important step for fluency. Remember, your fluency is being greatly judged here in part 2. So prepare your first sentence. Your fluency is super important. Okay, so give me your first sentence. I have a feeling many of you have thought about a place that you've been to that's very crowded or was very crowded at the time. And I think you probably have an idea of how to create your first sentence. So write those first sentences. And as sardines are still kind of popular, I have the odd can of sardines. All right, so step 5, and they're still very much packed. Okay, so fluency is super important. Okay, so one of the most crowded places I've ever been to is St. Mark's, I think it's like that, Square in Venice, Italy, back in the summer of 2019, just before COVID hit. Okay, so don't overcomplicate it. Mine actually might be a little bit too complicated. What's most important is that your first sentence clearly answers the question, directly and clearly answers the question, and is accurate. Okay? Direct, clear answer of part 2 with no mistakes. Okay? Super important. All right? And again, for all those people watching right now, even though you might not be able to join the chat, it's okay. You might be kind of just listening to me like a podcast, which is fine. I do highly recommend that you speak and repeat. So you copy what I say and copy how I say it. Okay? So for me, when the examiner says, okay, your 1-minute preparation time is up, please begin speaking, I would say one of the most crowded places I've ever been to is St. Mark's Square in Venice, Italy, back in the summer of 2019, just before COVID hit. Okay? Fuang has this answer for us. Good work, Fuang. Fuang says, a crowded place with a sea of people that I've had a chance to visit in the beginning of the new year of 2024 is the National Pagoda of Vietnam, which is situated in the heart of Ho Chi Minh City in District 10. I took out the January 1st because it's New Year's. You said New Year's, so I figured it's around that. Okay, District 10 is capital because it's the name of that district. Okay, and that's a good start. Now, I like, Phuong, how you clearly state the present perfect. So notice how Phuong says that I have had a chance to visit. It's really good to do that because the Part 2 cue card topic is present perfect. You have been to. And Phuong's doing a really good job of emphasizing that I have had a chance to visit. Here, I do the same. I use the present perfect, but I contract it. So I say one of the most crowded places I've ever been to. And it's actually better to clearly state that in your first sentence, so it's very obvious and emphasized for the examiner. One of the most crowded places I have ever been to is St. Mark's Square in Venice, Italy, back in the summer of 2019, just before COVID hit. Okay, I'm looking for those first sentences. Let's see what you come up with, everyone. Anahita says, a crowded place I have been to is Toronto Mall on 9th of December 2023. At that time, the mall was located in the center of the city where I could conveniently go shopping because it was near my condo. Did they move the mall, Anahita? Did they tear it down? Because if not, and especially if the examiner knows that the mall is still there, you have to be careful. If you're doing the exam in Toronto and the examiner is in Toronto and they know that the mall is there, this will be strange. So if it hasn't changed, then I would say the mall is located in the center of the city where I can, if you can still do it, can conveniently go shopping because it is near my condo. So be really careful. I have a feeling that's the better grammar here. Okay. All right. Let me just grab that and place it above here. Okay. So grammar is really important and being accurate is very important. And being accurate doesn't always mean like a grammar mistake per se. It could mean incorrect use of grammar. So be careful with that. Okay. Grammar accuracy is mistakes with the technical part of grammar, so the structure of the grammar, or the misuse of grammar. Okay, so be really careful with that. Both of those would be considered mistakes. Okay. Nurbanu, nice to have you join in on the action. Nurbanu says, I have actually been to a place that was packed with people when I was on vacation in 2022. It was a cruise ship with more than 1,000 people from different parts of the world. Okay, good, Nurbanu. It's a good start. I'm curious to find out what kind of a cruise ship, where it was harbored or where it was going and what it looked like. Okay, cruise ship, I would definitely be curious to know how many decks it had, how long it was, did it have a swimming pool, a casino, a restaurant? So what kind of a cruise ship was this? All right. So think about these parts, okay? We're going to have you volunteer hopefully very, very soon here and be able to answer these. So Ha says, I have been to multiple CRAN places, but the day that the career counseling event took place at my school in a mountainous town of Tan Hao province is the most memorable. Okay, Ha, don't do this, okay? Can everybody tell Ha why this isn't a good way to start? Okay, so it's not just me that's always saying this. So many students who are learning regularly, some of you who have taken the IELTS or who know about people who have taken the IELTS, and can you explain to Ha, please, why this is not a good start? Yeah, so see how your peers there are saying the question is about one place. The examiner doesn't like to hear this type of start. Okay, this is a very dangerous way to start. I have been to multiple cram places. If you start like that, then in the examiner's head, what they're thinking is the examiner will think, oh boy, here we go again. You do not want that thought to be inside your examiner's head. The oh boy, they're not going to hold. You never know. Some examiners might do this, but inside of their head, they're going, oh boy, here we go again. So this is definitely a big no-no. Okay, big no-no. All right. So instead, you have a good idea. You just need to get to the point. So one of the most crowded places or crammed places I have ever experienced was my school auditorium on the day of career counseling, which is located in the mountain town of How province. What's the name of the town? We need the name of the town to make sense of this. Okay. So this would be the correct way to introduce this. Okay, one of the most crammed places I have ever experienced was my school auditorium on the day of career counseling. And I would probably even start a new sentence here. The school is located in the mountain town of, and this auditorium is, I don't know, about 2,000 square meters of event space, right? Something like that, okay? All right, so be careful, be specific, okay? Okay, Romelia, I like it. Let's see Romelia's. And so, one more here. And then keep going, students. So, Romelia says, a place that has, not had, has, Romelia, has stuck with me. It's now and it's to the future. It's present perfect, not past perfect. A place that has stuck with me as an overwhelmingly crowded, overwhelming. It's a whelming with an H. Overwhelmingly crowded locality is Stonehenge in Salisbury, UK. Hedge, I believe, like that. Stonehenge. No, Stonehenge without the D. Interesting. Stonehenge in Salisbury, UK. Okay. Present perfect, Romelia. Present perfect. Yes, yes. I do like the expression here, though, everybody. Repeat after me. A place that has stuck with me as an overwhelmingly crowded locality. Instead of locality, I would be more specific here. Okay. What should we use? What kind of word or words? We could use landmark. Okay, for sure. I would use a different pair of words here. I would say, hopefully some of you are writing it while I'm writing it. Monument is okay, Romelia. I would probably write tourist attraction because it introduces the concept, right? Okay, if you don't know this collocation, learn it. This would be very, very accurate here, and it would be very useful for the topic of crowded places. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go through the steps of appearance, attendees, activities, experience, time, and include all of those more or less in that order for my response, which is St. Mark's Square in Venice, Italy. Now, again, the question, everybody, just as I jump into this, describe a crowded place you have been to. When you went there, where the place is, who you went there with, and explain how you felt about the place. And then we'll get going here. Do the same. So think about the attendees, the activities, your experience, maybe a little brief history of the place, okay? A description of the place. Have the right order of information. Write this down. Practice while I'm doing this. Repeat, copy my sentences, and then I will get you to volunteer, and hopefully we'll hear as many of you as possible to hear about these crowded places. So at a nice steady pace, okay? Now, when you're practicing part 2, cue card, the long part at home, it is a good idea to write down these little mini essays, these little half pagers or 2/3 of a page. One full page is probably too much, but half a page to 2/3 of a page is about 1 to 2 minutes of speaking. Okay, so one of the most crowded places I have ever been to is St. Mark's Square in Venice, Italy, back in the summer of 2014, just before COVID hit. This is located in the heart of Venice. It is a large cobblestone square that is about 1,000 years old, and has a rich history. It is surrounded by landmarks like a large bell tower, a Doge Palace, a basilica, and historic shops. It not only attracts millions of tourists each year, but also lots of locals who cater to these massive floods of people, including those coming from the 5 or more cruise ships harbored nearby. I went there with my wife and daughter to check out the landmarks, eat some delicious food, and make some lifelong memories. It was quite surprising the number of people that were shoulder to shoulder in most of the square. If I had to guess, I would say there were more than 15,000 people present in the square by noon. Although the experience was quite enjoyable, it did detract from the overall mood to be packed in lines like sardines in a can just to go to the washroom or to buy a bottle of water. Also, I did worry about my daughter being in such a congested place, being only 3 years old. I had to squeeze her hand the whole time to make sure that she would be safe. So for sure, St. Mark's Square sticks out in my travels as one of the most crowded places I've ever visited. Okay? All right. So, of course, what you didn't see me doing here, and what I would do in the IELTS, is I would look at my notes on St. Mark's Square. I didn't do too many notes here in today's example. And I would also look at the cue card to make sure that I answered all the questions. So before I finish with that last concluding sentence, I would take a look and just make sure that, okay, did I answer this question of when I went there? Yeah, I think I did. Okay. Did I talk about where the place is located? Yeah, I feel I did. Who you went there with and explain how I felt about it? Yeah, I think I answered that as well and gave lots of additional details. So I'm happy, I'm satisfied, and I'm somewhere in that 90-second to 2-minute range. So it's good. Okay, let me go through my answer again just for everybody so you can see the fluency. Copy and repeat after me, and then like I said, you will have a chance to volunteer and do this with me as well. Okay? All right, here we go. So the examiner says, okay, your time is up. Please begin speaking. One of the most crowded places I have ever been to is St. Mark's Square in Venice, Italy, back in the summer of 2019, just before COVID hit. This is located in the heart of Venice. It is a large cobblestone square that is about 1,000 years old and has a rich history. It's surrounded by landmarks like a large bell tower, Doge Palace, a basilica, and many historic shops. It not only attracts millions of tourists each year, but also lots of locals who cater to the massive floods of people, including those coming from the 5 or more cruise ships harbored nearby. I went there with my wife and daughter to check out the landmarks, eat some delicious food, and make some lifelong memories. It was quite surprising the number of people that were shoulder to shoulder in most of the square. If I had to guess, I would say there were more than 15,000 people present in the square by noon. Although the experience was quite enjoyable, it did detract from the overall mood to be packed in lines like sardines in a can just to go to the washroom or buy a bottle of water. Also, I did worry about my daughter being in such a congested place, being only 3 years old. I had to squeeze her hand the whole time to make sure that she would be safe. So, for sure, St. Mark's Square sticks out in my travels as one of the most crowded places I've ever visited. Okay. Now, if the examiner doesn't stop me, I would probably say something like, if I were to go there again, I would go in the early morning or outside of tourist season to avoid these large crowds. Okay? Romelia says another nice idiom is something sticks out like a sore thumb. Yes, but that's an off-topic idiom, Romelia. It wouldn't fit here. So that's why I'm not emphasizing that idiom. When you're learning idioms, and Romelia, this is a good tip and for everybody, do learn them in context, okay? So when it sticks out like a sore thumb, sticks out like a black stain on a white wall, learn it in context, okay? It's kind of out of context here. It'd be hard to weave that into this situation. Okay, students, here we go. So now let's do a bit of volunteering. Again, for all of you watching, premium members, to volunteer, go to our website, so aehelp.com. Again, to join the premium package, everybody, use that big red button that's just above my head there. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, and IELTS test registration center, so you are in great hands with us. Go to your My Student account. In your My Student account, you have computer-based practice exams, a full online interactive course, you have exam books, study plans, lesson videos, much, much more. And then you have the student partner speaking right there. And you want to click on that. Okay. Now, once you've clicked on the student partner speaking, then you'll be in this page here with Valentina, Anna, Vlad, Naeem, Ivan, Azim, Hyun, Danielle. And you can send me a message and volunteer like Anna has. You'll find me in here as master. Okay. And I will be all capitals. It's easy to see, master, like that. And then click on the blue envelope besides master and send me a message. Let's check in with Anna. I don't think we've heard from Anna. I'm curious what kind of crowded place Anna has been to. Anna, I see some Cyrillic there that I cannot read. Hi, are you ready? Okay, Azim, nice to see you volunteering. Kevin, good to have you there as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
Yeah.
Are you doing okay, Anna?
Yeah, pretty well. I finished my working project today. I'm really happy about this.
Yeah, that's always a great feeling. Good for you. Happy project completion.
Yeah, I'm relieved about this. 2 months of work.
Nice, nice. Okay. It's a good way to say it. I'm relieved about it. Yes. Okay, Anna, are you ready for this cue card?
Yes, I'm absolutely ready for this.
Good. Here we go. Describe a crowded place you have been to. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
I've recently visited a crowded place in Kiev. It was a club stereo plaza when a British band Hertz was given their concert. I wasn't alone, and I visited this concert with my close friend Svetlana, and also it was my first trip to this concert from Odessa to Kiev, because this concert was hosted in in Kiev, and for me it was like first experience to see more than 5,000 people in one place, and I felt shocked because it was the biggest club which I've seen in my life, and I even got lost in this. But like a security guard helped me to find my place. Not only does this club has beautiful soft chairs, but it also has tables which was made by glass, and I was affected how beautiful interior was in this club. Given the chance, I would back in this nightclub because I like the security policy and how this event was organized. I think it's one of the best place to visit live concerts at all. And I have a positive emotions about this because I learned how to be a tourist in Kiev, and also I made lots of positive feelings, and made some friends
Okay, your
at this
time is
place.
up. I will stop you there, and we will now go on to part three. All right, Anna, that was good. As far as band score goes, I would say it was a band 7. There was so good fluency, good vocabulary, fairly good answer, some grammatical and language use mistakes, but overall good. Okay, so that's basically what the examiner is thinking. Now, one aspect of making this better, okay, so you said, I've recently visited a crowded place in Kiev. A British band gave their concert. It's kind of weird to say a British band gave their concert. A British band had their concert.
Exactly.
Okay. What's the band?
Hearts. Hurrts. Hearts.
Hurrts. British
Yes.
bands. Yeah, I couldn't catch that clearly, but Hearts. Okay. All right. Gave their concert. I visited this concert with my friend Svetlana. I visited this concert with my friend Svetlana is again a bit strange. It's not visited. I enjoyed this concert, or I
Enjoy.
went to this concert. Okay.
Can I say I attended this concert with
Yeah,
my
you
friends?
can. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But you don't visit a concert. You go to a
Yeah.
concert. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said from me instead of for me. For me, it
Mm.
was like a first experience to see more than 5,000 people in one place. That was good quantification. Was it a sold out show? Were all the seats taken?
It it was like this club has 2 floors. I didn't mention this, and it was on
Okay.
this.
Okay, so just repeat after me. The club has 2 floors and it was a packed house.
The club had 2 floors, and it was a packed house.
And it was a packed house.
Packed, packed house.
Okay, one more time. The club has 2 floors and it was a packed house. I think all the seats were sold out.
As the club has 2 floors, and it was a packed house. I think all seat was sold out.
Okay. So, when you have this topic of crowded places, this is what I mean by vocabulary and topic specific concepts, right? So, you always want your mind to kind of go back to that crowded place, crowded place. How do I make my listener, how do I make the examiner feel the crowd? Right? And it's kind of an interesting situation, Anna, because in the IELTS exam here, you are with the examiner in a room, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and it's just you and just the examiner, correct?
yeah, two people. Yeah,
Yeah, and the room is fairly spacious, right? So it's not crowded. It's the
yeah,
opposite. So the way that you know you're speaking at a band 8 or a band 9 level is if you can make that examiner feel crowded in that exam room, even with all
yeah,
that space, then
yeah.
you know that you're doing a great job. I even felt, just repeat after me, I even felt a bit claustrophobic at times.
I even felt claustrophobic sometimes
At times. I
at times.
even felt a bit claustrophobic at times.
Claustrophobic. I will learn this vocab. Claustrophobic at times.
Yeah, do you know what it means, claustrophobic?
When you're afraid this place, yeah, when I escape from some
No,
locations?
claustrophobic is a fear of small spaces. So, like,
Ah,
for
so,
example, being locked into a closet, a lot of people have this. Actually, it's one of the most common fears. So, this is
yeah.
everyday vocabulary, like being locked in a small car with many people or in an elevator with many people. It's
Mhm.
claustrophobic. Most people have this. Even I have this a little bit. So, it's a fear of being stuck in a small space or cramped space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So again, overall, not bad. Really focus in on the topic, on the vocabulary, and good work, Anna. You're doing great. Okay, you're
Yeah.
definitely becoming more and more comfortable with the English
I
language. I can
wanted
tell.
to include more information in one first sentence, and in my notes, I started like on paper. I've attended a live musical concert recently. No, it was like short sentences, but if we're speaking with you, I give like more detail in first sentences. It's because of mistakes. I made some mistake. I agree with this. Yeah.
But listen to you, Anna. You're so much more confident and comfortable and fluent than when you first started these classes. So you're really improving. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm learning this strategy every time when I see cue card. I make notes. I have a special notebook in which I collect all these cue cards from live lesson, and after this I sort it out in which topic, place, ideas. It's not all type of question I remember by heart, and I need to use my notes of your strategy. But it helps me when I feel nervous. Strategy helps me to start with first sentence with location or something like attendees. I can start even.
It's all about that. I'm just enjoying the second season of Breakpoint, which is a documentary about tennis on Netflix, and the great tennis players in the world. I'm not going to start listing them, but many people know these great tennis players. They're so nervous. They have so much pressure on them because it's one person against one person, and
Yeah,
that's the common thread. The common thread with
yeah,
these world class tennis players is the way that they handle that stress is strategy. They have a very clear strategy, and the players that can keep to their
mm.
strategy win those huge tournaments like the French, the US, Australian Open.
Yeah.
The
And
players who
this
can't, they lose.
Yeah, and this Grand Slam then happens only once in a year. If like Masters competition, and they have like 10 Masters competition in a year, like different, like
Mm-hmm.
Madrid
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, in Rome. But Grand Slams in only once, and sometimes once this your reactions and your confidence in which corner, in which part of the court hits this
All
ball.
strategy and the different
Yeah.
surfaces, and it's all strategy, and those who can stay with strategy win, those who don't stay with strategy lose. And that's exactly it. And the IELTS is the same. IELTS you hopefully only do once in your life or maybe twice, and if you stick to strategy you only need to do it once, right? So thank you,
Yeah.
Anna, for volunteering. I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
very much. Yeah. See you tomorrow in live class on Zoom. I
Okay,
will attend.
bye,
See you.
Anna.
Thank you.
All right, that was Anna. That was really good. All right, let's give somebody else a chance here. Let's check in with Juan. I think Juan hasn't had a chance to speak in a while, and I'm really curious what kind of crowded place Juan has visited. So let's check in with Juan. Are you ready, Juan? Juan, if you're there. I think I am. Okay.
Hello,
Hi, Juan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, I was a bit under the weather these days, but now I'm feeling a lot better
Good, good. Happy to
today.
hear it. Yeah, just repeat after
Yeah,
me. These past few days.
these past few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Juan. Are you ready for this cue card?
Um, it's kind of like a challenge. I mean, well, I
It
mean,
sounds it
all,
sounds to me like you live in a place in Argentina where it's quite spacious. There's not too many crowded places,
yeah,
right?
especially in my city.
Okay. Well, let's see what you come up with. Sometimes you have to get quite creative. Here we go. Describe a crowded place you have been to. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
A very crowded place I went to is the University of Buenos Aires during a conference. This happened in 2018, April, during the last week of April. I went there with 25 classmates. Well, this particular building is the Design and Architecture building. It is located in the outskirts of Buenos Aires, close to the airport and to the River Plate Stadium. The shape of the building is kind of like a cube. It's about 100 by 100 meters and 3 stories tall. In the middle, it has a big hall or gallery where people and students gather to show their work and to gather, to also to study sometimes. This building, I think, it was built during the 70s, and the architecture is now a bit old, but it still works. This conference was for about 5 days, and it gathered people from all around the country. We went there from my province, Rio Negro, and with my other classmates from the University of Black River. And I could I could go to classes and thesis demonstrations. Also, some students showed their models, and it was very interesting.
Okay.
I also had the chance to.
Your 2 minutes is up. I'm going to stop you there, and we will now continue with part 3. So that's kind of how it will go, Juan. So the examiner will pretty much stop you roughly there, maybe a little bit earlier. I think that was about 2 minutes or close to 2 minutes. Even if it were a bit less than 2 minutes, they might stop you there. Why do you think?
I don't know. I still didn't talk about some things that I wanted to talk about.
What
but
did
maybe
you talk about? What do you think the examiner didn't quite hear that they were hoping to hear more of?
Well, there is the last question about feelings.
So yeah, the questions were okay. I think you weren't, so this is what I was worried about a little bit here, is you weren't really, you're used to lots of space. I can tell. You weren't really getting into the concept of crowds, right? So remember what I said to Anna is that a person who does a really good job with this cue card, who gets a band 8 or a band 9, will make the examiner feel crowded or claustrophobic even in a large exam room where just 2 of you are sitting, right? I definitely didn't feel that. I kind of actually felt like this is a nice, spacious university building. The numbers that I heard was 25 classmates, so obviously that's not going to fill a big room. So the feeling of crowd only happened at the very beginning, where you said a very crowded place I went to was the University of Buenos Aires, where there was a conference in April. I went there with 25 classmates. So can you think of a sentence that would have emphasized the crowd here?
Well, I could have talked about the how many people went there, like.
Yeah, so give me I can definitely, so if I'm putting myself in your situation and I put myself into this building and this conference, I can definitely come up with a couple sentences where I can give you this sensation or feeling of like there's a lot of people, like I'm crowded. What can you say? Just any sentence that comes to mind.
Yeah, hundreds of people.
Where?
In classrooms and in this hall.
Yeah. So just repeat after me. On the day of the conference, there were hundreds of people in the lecture halls. So many that they had to bring in extra seats.
On the day of
And
the conference, I'm sorry.
I was just going to add even more to it, make you feel even more crowded. And there were still people standing against the walls. Okay, so let's try this sentence. On the day of the conference, there were hundreds of people in the lecture halls. So many, they had to bring in extra seats, and there were still people standing against the walls. I could hardly get through the doors.
On the day of the conference, there were hundreds of people in the lecture halls, so many that they had to bring in extra seats, and there's still people standing against the wall. I could hardly get through the door.
Okay, so are you starting to feel crowded?
Yeah.
Good. That's what you want, right? That's what's going to get you that band 8, band 9. So that's when we're, band, and this is what candidates need to think about. Like a band 6 or 7 is somebody who's fluent and who's good. They're they can talk, they can answer this cue card. The band 8, band 9 is a person who not only is speaking English, but they're really telling a story. They're making you feel the story, right? And you're at that level now, Juan, where you want to focus on that, right? So very purposed vocabulary, very purposed concepts, okay, based on the topic. That's what I want you to focus on, okay?
Okay.
Because with your English, you can get a band 8, band 9. And Juan, I would have given you like a band 7 here. Not because of your English. I liked your English. I would have given you a band 7 because of your content. To get a band 8 or band 9, content becomes extremely important, okay?
Yeah.
All right, I know you know that, but I'm just emphasizing it for others as well. So what I want you to do is practice a few more sentences. Try to think about how you could answer this again, but a few sentences that give this sensation of crowdedness, okay? All right. Thanks, Juan, for volunteering. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, and thank you for choosing me.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye, Juan.
Bye.
All right, that was Juan. Yeah, it's challenging. It is a challenging topic because, it's like, how do I, even in one's own native language, it can be challenging to think like, what kind of words or sentences should I use to give this feeling or this sensation of crowds or being crowded. All right, I'm just going to refresh my page here. Hopefully I can catch someone else. Kevin, let's see if you're still there. Are you there, Kevin? We're going to try to do one more quick volunteer here. Azim, Thu, we've got a class coming up on the website here as well. Kevin, if you're there, let me know. I know you were volunteering there. Anna says, Juan, a great answer. Yeah, the grammatical accuracy and vocabulary was great. It's the content, right? Okay.
Hello, Mr. Adrian. Are you there?
I am, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm slowly but steadily feeling better. Thank you so much for asking.
Good. All right, Kevin, not a lot of time left, but that is okay. I'm going to get you right into this. Here we go. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it. Describe a crowded place you have been to. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
All right. So recently I've been in this place, which is insanely packed with people. It's inside the elevator of the building where my friend Joe's living. So specifically, last month on December 25th, I was invited over to Joe's house apartment in the south of my city, Hanoi, with a few more friends of us to celebrate Christmas. And I headed there myself. It was a highly anticipated party, partly because of the festive vibe of the day and because we had planned many fun activities like arm wrestling and potato sack race. When we arrived and went inside the building, however, we were horrified to see people like crowding up in front of the elevator doors. There are 37 levels, but only 3 elevators. So they are all at max capacity at most times of the day. When we entered the lift, we were literally crammed in like sardines, like we were squashed. We had to wrap our bodies up because the space between passengers was so tight. And if that wasn't enough, we the elevator ride was also traumatizing, like with babies screaming and crying, adults grunting and groaning because the air vents were broken. Like it was hot like a furnace. Everybody was sweaty and was just gasping for air. So overall, it was really claustrophobic, and I believe that with the cacophonies and with the body odor, had we not pinched our noses and stuck fingers in our ears, we could have given up and left and to go home.
Okay, your time is up. I'll stop you there. All right, Kevin, you were really picking up on what I was putting down about the sense of crowded spaces. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I meant. So everybody listening to Kevin here talking about visiting his friend's place for a Christmas party filled with arm wrestling and potato sack races, which kind of got me laughing inside for sure, Kevin. I really liked how you focused on the experience of the crowd, okay? And notice everybody that Kevin here, I wasn't able to catch all of it. Visually, I was at 100% there. So babies screaming, gasping for air, gasping for air. Gasping for air is when it's hard to breathe, when we're like, that's gasping for air. Body odor. So smelling each other, right? Exactly. When we're in crowd spaces, then we smell each other. And it's great. It's great descriptive language. So a lot of very nice use of descriptive language. You made use of that term, like sardines. It was claustrophobic. Definitely gave me the sense that I'm being crowded. So as your examiner, and this is why you would get a band 8.5 for this, no problem, Kevin. And one clear reason for it, and I'm sure all of our listeners can agree to this, is when we listen to Kevin, I'm in a spacious room right now here in my studio, and I felt cramped. I felt cramped in that elevator. I smelt people, and I was really frustrated. I actually wanted to get out of the elevator. I was like, get me out of this elevator. So that was really good, Kevin. Well done. Okay, you picked up on the advice that I was giving. That was great.
Thank you so much. Hey, Mr. Adrian, I know we're in a rush, but I just really want to just to say this. I didn't really get to say that the last time, but thank you so much for your pep talk last week. It really got me through the tough time I was in.
Absolutely, yeah, it's my pleasure, Kevin. You're a clever guy, and no need to keep your head hung low for sure. Chin up, forward. Okay, thank you so much again. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye, Kevin. All right, that was really good. Yeah, Juan says Kevin was paying attention to the advice. Yeah, so that's exactly what I was encouraging you, Juan, and you, Anna, to do, is to just fit the topic into the response, right? So really target the concept of the crowded space, right? How do we do that? Okay, Thu Ghazi, I know you didn't get a chance, Fuang, you didn't get a chance, but you will very soon, because students, we're coming back to the website in just under 30 minutes. And we're going to do volunteering through our live class and through the student partner speaking. So in 27 minutes, which is 15:30 Universal Standard Time, Greenwich time, you will be able to click on this blue button here and join a live class on the website. For those of you watching right now, the website is aehelp.com. I'll show you the URL. You can join the premium version by clicking the big red button just above my head there. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access, and premium students, I did send the Zoom links for tomorrow's class as well. So make sure that you got that. If you didn't, send me an email so I can hook you up. All right. aehelp.com for academic IELTS. That's where the live class will be, and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you, students. Ghazi, thanks for that super chat donation. I have it in my head, and I will reward you. I will give you a chance to volunteer as well. No worries there. Chen, thank you for moderating and putting the URL in the chat. Students, see you in 25 minutes. I'm Adrian, signing out from a very uncrowded studio here in Victoria, Canada. Bye for now.